This video is sponsored by NordVPN.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show in a week where we have been playing a lot of patch 10.0.7. Probably far too much 10.0.7, and that's what we're gonna talk about today, because I think we can all agree that there are parts of this patch which are genuinely, legitimately very good indeed, and others which have seen more of a mixed reaction, and others that people seem to absolutely hate. And we aren't going to ignore those things. Oh, no siree. In fact, I'm going to put all of those things in the title, probably, with a picture of my face going... Because I've been in this business for a while now, I know how it works. Don't worry, Evie's in this one too. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started on this special edition of the Weekly Reset, Why You Hate Patch 10.0.7. Yeah, I know, but it's fun though. But before I do that, let me give you my own personal overall reaction to the patch, and I'm gonna try not mince my words here, okay? But I think 10.0.7 is f***ing outstanding, like in a number of really important ways. To be getting a patch which is going to last maximum 2 months, quite likely slightly less, with what is essentially a new zone, multiple hours worth of new story content and cutscenes, special dungeon events, and even a new power progression feature to play with, before 10.1 launches with another new zone and hours of story and new renown and dungeons and a new raid and a whole new season. It's kind of wild, honestly. I genuinely think Blizz have knocked it out of the park with these opening 3 patches of Dragonflight, and from what I've played of Embers of Neltharion on the PTR, there is no reason to believe that won't extend to 10.1 too. And so, whereas I have quite happily stated since launch that I think Dragonflight rates as one of the best opening patches in WoW expansion history, I genuinely feel comfortable now with this patch out, 10.1 on the horizon, saying that I think Dragonflight is probably the best expansion ever at this stage, 16 weeks in. And what's extra wild is, I don't even think that is a controversial opinion. I may well be a shill-sounding Schlee McShillface Mr. Shillmeister man with a faint aftertaste of apologist, but a lot of people agree with me on this, and even if you don't think it's the best, chances are you rate Dragonflight extremely highly, and even if you absolutely hate it, and people do, you can probably acknowledge that most people think it's ace, and I've got to say, that's nice, isn't it? I like WoW quite a lot, and it's nice when it's really good. But enough sucking each other off. Here is things you hate about 10.0.7. Number 1, the changes to work orders. New in this patch, when you create a public work order, you now don't have to include all of the materials for that work order, which is a change I don't actually mind, to be honest. Whatever. The problem is that this was a woefully underreported change, which isn't immediately obvious in the UI, especially to many crafters who, let's be honest, have never actually seen a real public order in their entire lives up until this point. Thank goodness that this is the WoW community we're talking about here, because we all know they would never stoop so low as to, say, place unmaterialed orders for expensive items in the hope of basically scamming the shit out of someone who didn't know better. Only joking. There's absolutely shit tons of public orders now, as dastardly rapscallions are posting orders for items without mats and for commissions that are way lower than the cost of said mats, as in like 10 times less the cost of the mats. And woe betide you if you have those mats in your bank and don't notice that there aren't the tiny little ticks next to the mats on the public order when you accept it, because if you didn't, or if you did and you didn't, you just lost a ton of gold. And that's a shit show, obviously. This change killed public orders for good. It's absolutely disgusting. Basically, the WoW version of, we'll pay you an exposure. So don't get caught out. Always look for those tiny little ticks before you accept a public work order, or use an add-on like no mats no make to tell whether all, some, or no mats are being supplied with that order before you even click on it. I have to say though, and I hate being balanced, but here we go, that if you are willing to sift through the scams, there do, anecdotally at least, appear to be more legit orders to fill than ever. I've maxed out my 4 allowed fulfillments the last 4 days in a row, making tens of thousands of gold, so I'm not sure I can really call this change a failure, just a bit of a learning curve, which I hate. I hate learning. Things you hate about patch 10.0.7. Me and Evie are going to talk more about the Orc and Human Heritage Armor quest lines later in the episode, but you may have noticed if you've done the human quests that old favourite Vanessa Van Cleef is back and being awesome. But there's something different about her, isn't there? Oh yeah, she's wearing trousers. I repeat, there is 0 thigh flesh on the new Vanessa Van Cleef model. That was a shit show, obviously. Can't have girls looking too hot now, can we? They should have turned her into a bowl of fruit. More SJW shit. We should just be thankful they didn't give her blue hair. Vanessa Van Cleef was, quote, a child when we killed her dad in vanilla. So let's say that this iconic Cataclysm depiction of her is 18 years old, which I think is probably the minimum she could possibly be under California law without us getting a bit uncomfortable with said depiction. That would make her pushing 30 in the Human Heritage questline. And, you know, I've been 30. I can totally vouch for that being a time when you think to yourself, you know what? I'm just going to wear the comfy pants today. I do like how the thigh-revealing assassin swimsuit looks, but I think I'm just going to wear the comfy pants. Things you hate about 10.0.7, the ring. Okay, hear me out. I don't hate it. Lots of people do. The Onyx Annulet is the main power progression system for the patch, which is already a weird thing to say because it's a patch which really isn't about power progression, you know? Honestly, if there is a main point to 10.0.7 beyond the story, it's alt gearing. Someone on my stream said that 10.0.7 feels like a 10.1 pre-patch, and I think that's a really nice way of putting it. But the ring is intended to be useful to everyone. Blizzard on record is saying they essentially want it to be BIS for most players, at least until early on in Season 2. And for the sake of balance, here are the things I like about the ring. It is incredibly easy to complete. I didn't even try, and I was able to acquire both my amulets on my main with my BIS gems, according to Wowhead, link in the description, BIS fans, and max it out with the dual crafting things to level the stones up in a day. Very easy to do. That is a good thing. In that sense, it is what domination gems should have been all along, which is just as well, because here is why it sucks. Firstly, just about every class has the exact same best gems, which is fine, just a bit boring, and those BIS gems don't really have any cool visual effects on them, to the extent that I had to set up weak auras telling me when the effects were proccing, just so I had that nice dopamine fueling feedback from it. Also, it seems silly to me that the work order items you use to level the gems are dual crafting items, because it just seems like such a waste. Dual crafters have been eating incredibly well this expansion so far, Blizz. You could easily have thrown Enchanting a bone with this one, but no, it still sucks to be you, Enchanters. Sorry. You deserve it, but I'm sorry. The main problem so far, though, has been the confusion, because since patch day, there have been no less than 4 hotfixes to Primordial Stones, nearly all buffs to try and make it as powerful as Blizz intended, which they've kind of had to do because on patch day, it did kind of suck for a lot of classes, which is why the community as a whole, and especially the forums, were so happy about the hotfix, and the second hotfix, and the third hotfix, and no, it was a shit show, obviously. Get me off John Blizzard's Wild Stone ride. Get these stones. Ha! No, you dickhead, get these stones. Great system, you guys. Give the ring secondaries. Holy fuck, the whole community is asking for it. So here's the thing. Yeah, the ring has no secondary stats on it, because the whole idea is that the stones have very interesting special effects instead. But rings are, of course, a main source of secondary stat, which means that the amulet is wildly varying in usefulness for different classes. If you're a tank, you are going to love the extra damage that it's giving you. If you're a Moonkin or a Shadow Priest, it's basically trash. And honestly, that would be fine. Who cares? Except Blizzard want it to be good for everyone, which means they keep on buffing it to the point that they are probably going to have to buff it so much it is totally broken in 10.0.7 and then nerf it into absolute oblivion, basically make it unusable in Season 2, which isn't ideal, but actually is also fine. Who cares? I do think this would be a much bigger deal if the stones were harder to get and level, or if this was the main power progression system for a major patch and season like Domination Shards were, and not just the dregs of Season 1. And also, actually, to be frank, when I say that it's trash for Moonkins, I mean like mythic level Moonkins. Actually, the ring is amazing for my Moonkin, because my Moonkin is item level 368, and it replaced a ring with a level, I shit you not, of 343. So your mileage will vary. Things I hate about 10.0.7. I hate that it hasn't got a name. It's only a little thing, but I say the patch number quite a lot. It makes this section of my video sound dumb. I have to keep saying 10.0.7. It's stupid. Things you hate about the new patch. Of course, you get the ring from the Yaskera vaults, and we'll talk more about that again in the stuff we like section, because fair play, it is really fun, but actually sucks, and I'll tell you why. This tree right outside the door. I cannot tell you how many times I have left the vault, mounted up, ready to soar into Forbidden Reach adventure, only to fly straight into the branches of this, as I will be calling it from now on, twat bough. I will be literally sitting on the branch of the twat bough instead of getting to the rare that just popped, or the Forbidden Horde. Oh yeah, things you hate about 10.0.7. The Forbidden Horde chest that, as far as I can tell, can be looted by exactly 3 people before they off and disappear, usually in the time between me clicking it and actually opening it, because me, that's why the Forbidden Horde. Things I hate about 10.0.7. I love that the Forbidden Reach is so well populated in terms of rares and stuff. And you know me, team, I'm not one to blame the game for me being an idiot, you know? At first, I found it quite hard to work out where all of those rares were actually spawning. The first couple of days of the patch was spent learning where the various cave entrances were, whether they were facing the center or facing out to the sea. And actually, that was really fun. Dragon riding around the zones is exciting and visceral, especially when there's a whole bunch of you swooping from boss to boss. But there's one that just annoys the shit out of me every time. And I know what you're thinking. You're all thinking, Tally's gonna say Watcher Entrix, or as I call her, Watcher, never mind. Because you see the icon pop on the map, and it's like Schrodinger's boss as you move your cursor to mouse over it. If it's Galacrad, the dragon who sleeps on top of the mountain, you're gonna go there and kill it. If it's our girl Entrix, you're gonna go, never mind. Don't really fancy heading right down to the heart of the deepest vault on the island and fighting through a literal army of elites, only to probably not get there in time. But no, actually, it's not Entrix. Actually, I really enjoyed heading to Entrix the first couple of times that I killed her. It was genuinely exciting, smashing our way through this seemingly endless system of corridors to get there. It felt like a huge, real event. I loved it. No, the one that pisses me off, actually, also, I hate that hunter guy who's in that cave, which is like, you have to do this weird hairpin bend back on yourself, and then you hit a wall because you've gone the wrong way, and there's always like 6 other people on that wall because they've done the same thing, and then you're like, nah. But no, the one that really pisses me off, and I admit this is only because I'm stupid, is the guy and his dragon girlfriend on top of the tower. And only because I never check which boss the icon is when it appears, and I always end up heading down to where the stupid volcanic dragon boss thing is, down the stairs instead. Like seriously, every time. It's humiliating, and I'm putting it in the video because I can't be the only one, right? Please tell me you do that too. It can't just be me, right? Things you hate about 10.0.7.
Hey friends, guess what? It's that time. It's time to talk about VPNs. Now, I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but even the most internet savvy of us need reminding that our personal internet space is sacred, even when it might not feel that way. And it is up to you to keep it safe. Thanks to NordVPN, and especially its browser extension, I know my shiz is safe and secure at all times. Gotta have the safe shiz. And it gives me all kinds of flexibility, especially in ways you might not expect. For example, want to use different VPNs on different browsers? Having Nord means I can be in the UK on Chrome, but in France on Microsoft Edge? Don't ask me why I need to do this, but listen, I can. Imagine being on Chrome in France. 2. Is your bank giving you hassle for logging in on a suspicious IP? Thanks to the split tunneling feature, I can do all the money stuff with my real IP while doing literally everything else on the internet via my VPN server. I am 100% legit. And 3. Visiting your parents and need to get some work done on your mum's laptop? Brave. No need to install any new apps, no siree, just pop the NordVPN extension on a browser and you're good to go. She'll thank you for it anyway. Sounds like something you could do with, right? Luckily for you, every purchase of a 2-year plan right now will receive 4 bonus months for free. FYI, this is still the best deal for NordVPN online, so head to nordvpn.com/Taliesin and Evitel to check it out. If at any point you're not happy, Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. That's nordvpn.com/Taliesin and Evitel. Oh, hi, Mum. You're welcome.
We really need a library tab, either in our bank or most likely in our collections, where we can store all of the books and journals and letters and stuff that we pick up throughout the world. Especially these days, because books and diaries and pages, sending stones, are clearly one of Steve Danuz's absolute favoritist ways in the whole wide world, though, to reveal or foreshadow pretty massive lore points, especially in 10.0.7, which is full of that stuff. There's really awesome pages about Neltharion and pirates discovering a new continent to the west, and the mother of the Drakthea, and new old gods, and other absolute treasures, which I don't want to vendor or delete, but I know if I put them in my bank, I'm just going to forget about them, and so I keep them all in my bags, along with all the other 10.0.7 knickknacks. Just give us a searchable library tab that we can save all the books that we find to, like our toy collection, please, Blizz. I really don't know anything about coding or game dev, but I'm pretty sure that would be amazingly easy to implement. I'm thinking someone can do that in like 20 minutes over their lunch break. So let's make it happen, please. Things you hate about 10.0.7, the spreadsheet. Obviously, the patch is pretty incredible for alt catch-up, with 385 account-bound gear tokens dropping like sweets from a Willy Wonka piñata party, which can easily be upgraded to 395. But the best thing about them, that isn't even the item level, to be honest, is the transmog. Because of course, you can change all of that Primalist gear into raid sets using the Revival Catalyst, with 385 being the normal raid recolor and 395 appearing as the heroic raid color, which means for the first time really ever, I'm in a position where I can get every single one of my alts, and I've got a character for each class in the game, the LFR, normal, and heroic tier set appearances for their class. And this means that not only does my spreadsheet need to tell me which of my characters need what items in terms of item level, but I need to efficiently keep track of whether they have collected the normal and heroic looks with minimal wastage of catalyst charges. Like for example, say I get a 385 helm for my monk, I need to remember to put it through the catalyst for the normal look before I upgrade it for the blue glowy heroic look. But then what if I haven't collected the green upgraded Primalist leather helm look yet? In that case, I'm going to need 2 helms, one to catalyst at 385 for the normal raid appearance, and one to upgrade for the green Forbidden Reach Primalist appearance. And my spreadsheet needs to reflect that, and I hate it. No, I don't hate it at all. It's awesome, and I live for it. Oh, great. It looks like we're into stuff that you like about the patch now. Phew. Evie, we've just been saying all horrible things that everyone hates about 10.07. Can you just give us some good stuff, please? Tell me something you like.
I love the vaults.
You do?
I really like the vaults.
Okay, right. Well, okay. I've separated this section into so because what happened was, here's what happened, right? I wrote a script which was kind of alternating between, something that everyone loves about 10.07 and something that, everyone hates, tee-hee. Because I thought you wouldn't be in this video, and then we found ourselves with a couple of hours to spare, and here you are.
Hello.
So I thought I just cut all the good stuff from the script, and I thought you could tell us all about that here, because I've barely touched on the vaults at all, honestly.
Okay, so I've done them just a couple of times, and I did that thing. Well, let me preface this with saying I did that thing where I went into the Forbidden Reach and I started picking up every quest, and I instantly had, I guess you could call it like patch anxiety, like quest anxiety, where you pick up too many quests, and I wasn't even reading them, and I was just clicking them, and I was just like frantic to do them, and at the same time all of the rares were popping, and I was like, what are these for? And so then I killed all the rares. Anyway, I went in to the vaults the first time with like loads of keys, and I just like blasted through it and just had like 3 doors left or something. And then I came out and I was like, yeah. And then I handed in my quest, and the guy's like, please return to the vault and open 3 more doors. And I was like, oh.
And also they're like, okay, can you go in and get like the anvil now? And can you go in and get the thing?
Can you go back and get the stuff?
I'm pretty sure I saw those, but they weren't glowing.
Exactly.
Okay, right. Oh, what?
Yeah, did you do that too?
Yeah, so when I'm doing it on my alts, because obviously I'm doing it on like 13 alts as well.
Right.
I've got into the habit of like, you go in, you get the ring, you go out again, you hand in the ring, you get told to go and get like the anvil and stuff. You go in and like, totally. And then I about 10 keys. My alts usually have like 10 keys on them by the time I actually kind of take them into the vault. And because I love the skip, by the way. I don't know if you've appreciated this, but like there's a complete skip of like all the story straight away once you've done it on your main.
Nice.
You talk to someone at the top of like the big dragon tower in Valdrakken, and you're like, yeah, whatevs, man, whatevs. And then you teleport there, and Emberthal is like, okay, hero, we've got, and you're like, yeah. And you skip, and then you're on the island. You're on like the Tuskar Island, and everything's ready to go. So you miss some like rewards and stuff, some of the upgrade items, but I think overall it's probably worth it.
Probably fine.
And I find that going in with 10 keys is all I need to get all the stones I need to have my bis and stuff, and if I need to like break some down and buy some and stuff like that. So how are you with that?
Yeah, I got my bis like right away. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I did the quest, and then I went and I checked my optimal stones, and then it turns out I already had one of them, and I was like, okay. And then I just like broke them down and remade a couple of other ones, and then instantly had it.
What about the vaults themselves? Do you like them as a kind of a gameplay thing? I
really like them. They kind of push a button for me where they're super simple, like extremely simple. Like it's too much to call them puzzles, but like, oh, here's a room full of fire. Oh, there's a thing in this other room that gave me a barrier against fire. And it totally like stroked my my evoker ego, because you get up there, and then I got up to the top level, and then it's like, oh, here's the little thing that makes you jump far, and I'm like, I don't even need it. I can literally just jump. So I just felt like super powerful.
Wait. Do you think that's the top level?
No, yes.
What, just the first bunch up?
Yeah.
There's like 2 others.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like the bubble lift that you have to repair that takes you up to like the Americans would say 3rd floor, and then
Wait,
there's
the
a
bubble
floor
lift
up.
goes all the way up there. I thought the bubble lift stops at...
You're going to need some more keys. Fam.
Oh.
The other thing I want to talk about is story on the Forbidden Reach. How much
Yes.
of that have you done? What have you played through?
So I've played through the main stuff.
Okay, with Emberthor
Yeah,
and-
yeah. And what's his face? The other black dragon.
Abyssian. Yeah,
that guy.
Ebonhorn. Yeah. So
Ebonhorn.
I've got a video coming out probably tomorrow after this video comes out.
Nice.
Talking about that, because I think... I mean, what did you think of the cutscene?
Oh, it was so lovely.
Isn't it great?
It was really nice. It was like a little melodramatic, but in a good way. And,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
little tinkly music had me going, and having these these 2 kind of coming to an understanding. I thought it was I thought it was really nice.
So I think that kind of like absolutely sets up Abyssian as the future aspect of the Black Dragons. That's what the
Must
video is about.
be.
It's kind of like a half cinematic analysis and half talking about like, you know, what this shows and, you know, why Abyssian is like, in my opinion, nailed on, and dealing with like the fallout from that, because like a lot of people, you know, aren't keen on him being the leader at all, and are like, Rathers is my man. The whole flow of the story in Dragonflight is just really good.
It's
in my
nice,
opinion.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's so cool.
I'm really enjoying it.
Good to see like the writers really making the most out of the extra time and space that they've got to kind of like advance those stories. I'm really happy with it. But there was loads more than that as well, because you had like the human heritage quests and the orc heritage quests. Did you do any of those?
Neither of them.
Let me tell you about them, because I've done them both and they took me ages.
I hear they are.
Well, it took me a while to do the orc one, because I
Really?
was like, yeah, okay, so I had an orc kind of character who I've had forever, right? And even though I knew the orc heritage armor was coming, with that in the back of my mind, one day I was playing and I was like, fancy race changing this orc.
Of course
And
you
I
do.
did. I changed him to a Tauren. And I did. I
Be a big
changed it.
boy.
And I was stupid, because then when the Orc Heritage Armor came along, I was like, oh no. So I've got an Orc Warrior, okay, but not exalted with Orgrimmar. I was like, okay, well, it's fine. So I put on my Orgrimmar Tabard,
Nice.
and I went into the Mechanar. I ran through it like less than 2 hours. I went from friendly to exalted in Orgrimmar. Brilliant.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, there we go.
Great.
That was pretty painless.
Okay.
And then I was like, where am I picking up this quest? And I couldn't find it. And then I realised that I didn't have an Orc Warrior. I had a Magar Orc Warrior.
Oh no!
So I just race changed them to Orc, and they don't look as cool because Magar Orcs look so much cooler than Orcs. And I did the Heritage quest line on that, and it was amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's brilliant. It's so good.
okay.
It's like basically every Orc character you can ever think of is there. You're basically
Nice.
just like doing this cool Orc festival that they used to do on Draenor, and it's the first one ever on Azeroth. Thrall is there. Thrall's
Sweet.
kids are there.
Aw.
And Thrall's son is an absolute dweeb. And like it's really funny because he's got like the Orc haircut that looks a bit emo because he's a teenager, right?
Yeah.
And all the other Orcs are like, oh, I remember when we killed everyone when we first came through the portal.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh boy, oh, it's the hero of Azeroth. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, and he's like clearly not gonna be a warrior or whatever. He's
Right.
going to be a dweeb, and,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. It's really cool. And but you know, orcs from all different kind of expansions
Yeah.
and zones and like Warcraft 2 references.
Nice.
And it's just glorious. And like it
Nice.
takes so long to go through all the speech lines, clicking on everyone and everything. And
it
then you
does.
get to join an orc clan.
I was going to ask about this. So what clan did you choose?
Dragonmaw.
Nice.
Well, everyone chooses Frostwolf,
Yeah,
right?
of course
they're
they
so
would.
cool. All
Yes.
Blackrock, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fair enough, that's super cool. But then when I talked to the Dragonmaw guy, he was like, "Don't join us, we suck." And I was
You're
like,
like,
"Oh
I'm
no,
in. I'm in.
Oh,
You did it, you
I'm
did it."
absolutely in." And I like the idea of like you know being a dragon riding kind
Yeah.
of guy in Dragonflight
Yeah.
and stuff. Oh, you see like the ghosts of old dead orcs as well.
Nice.
It's so good, and I can see why everyone loves it. And so it's like this celebration of the orcs' place on Azeroth, and like it's so good. It's
Okay,
like
that sounds
so
really good. That sounds good.
And then the human one, which people don't love as much, is just as good as my opinion.
Okay.
So okay. If the orc one is celebrating the orc's place on Azeroth, the human one is celebrating my place in the humans of Azeroth.
Okay.
So it's all about me.
Right.
And it's like, hey, human, let's go on. Like, Vanessa Van Cleef is there, and Shaw is there, and you basically go to all the human leveling areas. So it's just this nostalgia tour of you go there, you listen to the music, you do some stuff, you see the baddies that you fought there.
Nice.
And then it kind of climaxes in this big fight around Northshire Abbey.
Nice.
Which is amazing.
Of course.
And it was so good. I was done, I was finished, and I just turned around and I clicked on Marshall McBride, the first guy that you see when you zone into the game. And you click on him and he's like, oh, Mavamwi, is that you? You must be the greatest hero in all of Azeroth by now. I hear about you all the time. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that I was able to play a small part in your journey. And like, I was doing it on stream, and it genuinely made me kind of like choke up. It genuinely made me catch my breath. And it was this wonderful moment. And it would have been a wonderful moment anyway. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. That's brilliant. Because like, Northshire Abbey music is playing.
Oh, of course.
And I was like, God, guys, that was so good. And I turned around, about to go to Stormwind to like finish it off. And there was this level 3 human running past, like killing boars. Yeah. And it was like...
Oh, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Oh, it couldn't have been like a more perfect moment. It was amazing. It was so good. And that's not all, because you also have the Bane quest lines.
Which I haven't done at all yet.
Oh, so good. Well, I've done them twice now.
Really?
Well, I did them on the PTR, and I did them again just now. When it came out.
Okay, well, don't spoil it for me, but it's good,
so
right?
Good. Yeah. Well, it's extra good, because now there are cutscenes and stuff in there as well, which make it even better. And music, and also the rewards. And if you do it on a Tauren, you get like a kind of back piece with 2 like big totem poles.
Nice.
So you can be like Bane. And you also get a 2-handed totem pole for hitting. Just like in the original vanilla trailer, where the Taur is like, whoa, hits the dwarf's bear. Boom. You can do that. You can live all your bear destroying fantasies.
Sweet.
And that's really good story as well. And even if like 10.07 didn't have anything else in it, it would have been worth having it for the story elements and stuff, which are really, really good. But then it's got like this whole other zone and stuff, and like this mini game with the vaults and like the rares. And at the moment, I'm literally just logging on to a random alt. I'm flying around killing rares and stuff, and I'm just... That's it. But I'm just enjoying it so much. It's so cool. I don't know how long it's going to stay fun. But I don't think it's going to be out for very long, honestly, because 10.1 is around the corner. And that's not all.
You don't say.
Because tomorrow, the Turbulent Time Ways event starts.
Is this the time walking thing?
Yeah. So there's a time walking event every single week for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, God.
Which is another reason why I think like the patch will be coming either when Turbulent Time Ways ends or like the week after, right? So that would be 8 weeks. And yeah, it's going to start off with Cataclysm, go Mists, Warlords, Legion, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. And you've got like the time walking event reward where you do 5 time walking dungeons and you get a piece of gear, but it's changed from being a piece of normal raid gear to a piece of heroic raid gear.
Amazing.
So again, like if
I'm in.
for each alt you can get 6 pieces of heroic raid gear just by doing time walking.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great.
Also very, very good for reputation and stuff as well. If you did need to get some rep for humans or orcs or something like that. For mains who just need a little bit more gearing up. Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, in a couple of days is the new trading post, and there's going to be stuff on there.
That reminds me, I haven't gotten my Jester outfit yet. I haven't gotten it yet. I know, that's what today is for.
Imagine missing your Jester outfit.
I'm not missing it. I've got a couple of days left. I'm scheduled it in. That's what today is for.
I'm just loving 10.0.7 right now.
It's feeling good. It's really nice.
It's just like, a really kind of just do what you're going to do kind of patch. And I've said this in the video already, but someone on my stream said that it feels like a pre-patch to 10.1. Like a really good pre-patch.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a really nice
way of putting it. It's got that kind of vibe to it. It feels like the kind of gameplay that you do in a pre-patch, and it's story leading into it as well. So, really, really good. A couple of videos coming out this week. We've got the one about the Black Dragonflight coming out probably tomorrow, and then one about Old Gods.
What about Old Gods?
Only a short video because there's no Old Gods in Dragonflight.
No,
exactly.
Just
and that'll be out by the end of the week, and then Weekly Reset again, and stream and all sorts. So, it's exciting, isn't it? Exciting times. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And guys, thank you, seriously, because without you, it'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel. Should we do a patron Q&A at some point this week?
We should.
Sounds good to me. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Marshall McBride.
Aww.
I'm so proud of you, hero.
I'm so proud.
How old do you think Marshall McBride is now? It doesn't matter. The video's over. Bye.
Bye.